Welcome to Discograffiti, the deep dive podcast for music obsessives that gives freaks like you and me the chance to connect with a brotherhood obsessed with rating the entire discography of every single artist and band that ever mattered. I'm your host, Dave Gebroe, and with 3 new episodes each week, you're going to gain a comprehensive knowledge of an act's history and output in the time it takes to listen to one album. Each new guest swings a hard left into an area you either had no idea you needed to know about or know all about and can't believe you're not alone out there. And in this episode, we'll be turning our spray cans on Spirit, Psst, along with our special guest, band biographer Ryan Gabrinetti. This is part 7, covering the wildly prolific and diverse years at the end of Spirit's Mercury Records era, which included a reunion of the classic era lineup and the absolute peak of Randy California's loner recording Weirdness. Here are just a few of the many things that Ryan discusses with Discograffiti in this podcast. The unquenchable spiritual search of Randy California, how the original lineup managed to reform, the particular kind of slick that occurred when Spirit veered into mid-70s slickness territory, the reunion's sudden disastrous finale, a single moment that killed off any future prospects for the original lineup, the insane whiplash about face from Farther Along to Future Games, and an in-depth deep dive on every song off Spirit's Son of Spirit, Farther Along, and Future Games. And away we go then!
I mean, the subject of why did this not go anywhere? Why didn't this chart? I don't know if we can speak for why the record didn't chart, but I think we can certainly talk about why the band did not continue as it was, because I think based on the sort of vibe and success of this record, Jay Ferguson was brought back into the fold, and there was a brief moment after the release of this record where they did some shows as a reunion. As some people know, there was a Spirit show at the Santa Monica Civic Center, which featured all of the original members, August 28, 1976. And by most accounts, it went pretty well all the way up until the end. During the encore, like Rolling Stone, a very inebriated Neil Young walked on stage and tried to join Randy at the mic to sing the chorus. And the motivations for what happened are unclear, but Randy basically hard shoved Neil off the mic, and it really kind of shocked the audience.
He apparently later claimed that he didn't recognize Neil.
Right, so he later claimed he didn't recognize Neil, but I think maybe the other reasoning being is this was kind of a big moment for them. Headlining Santa Monica Civic was like their hometown venue, like the band started a couple blocks away from there. And so this was kind of like a big moment, and I think particularly for Randy, having gone through the Lost Weekend and kind of feeling the magic's back, you know what I mean? To kind of have a situation of maybe being upstaged. Right. Because, the truth is, so Firefall was the opening act for that show. And so Mark Andes also performed with Firefall. Neil came out and sung a song with them during their set. So it's kind of hard to argue that Randy didn't know, but he can claim whatever. It's also hard to know where his head was at during that show.
Jesus, that's like Marvin Gaye singing for the California Raisins.
So when, Randy shoved off Neil, John Locke got up, ran off stage, and was just like, fuck this, I'm never going to play with Randy ever again, because him and Neil were really tight. And Cass tried to he came up in the front of stage and kind of tried to save it. There's a tape of it, you can hear it. Shit. It's unclear from the audio what happens because it's just a band, but you can kind of hear it devolve. So Cass tried to kind of save it, but it was a weird...
Didn't he try to pull the audience into a sing-along or something?
Yeah, exactly. And so it was really bizarre. I mean, I've talked to some people who were at that show, and then they had a huge fight backstage, and
that was it, right?
That was it. That was kind of the end. So, I mean, segueing into Future Games, I think one of the funny contrasts I noticed, again, listening to all this stuff back to back, and then also, I've got most of these records, is the cover of Farther Along is the 5 guys. It's all 5 of them.
It's a very 1970s album.
Yes, it's a very 1970s album cover, and then you have the cover of Future Games, which is just Randy and nobody else.
It's also a very weird and misleading album cover, because you think it's going to be some sexy Guitar Hero record,
right,
and it is anything but. Future Games, again will give you whiplash, because going from Farther Along to Future Games, those two records couldn't be any more different.
Could not be any more different. I mean, it's similar to how Farther Along isn't anything like Spirit of 76. It's just another flip. And they don't really get an A for graphic design on this one.
Well, I mean, I love how crazily misleading it looks. I mean, it looks like it's going to be like a Steve Vai, Yngwie Malmsteen Guitar Hero kind of record.
He's got like these bulging muscles. It's crazy. It's actually really it's an intense gaze that he has on the cover.
Future Games, the full title is Future Games, A Magical Kahuna Dream, right?
Yes.
And it's Spirit's 9th album, released in April 77, the final album for Mercury Records, as an album like this will always be the last album you do on a contract. And it's essentially a solo project for Randy, who recorded it with Ed Cassidy, of course. And as Farther Along had been a commercial failure, Future Games was crafted in part as a response, although as what kind of response, I'm not quite sure. Do you have any insight as to what the response actually was?
You know, I mean, again, I was just flashing on this going between Farther Along and this. It's like, you know, after that event at the Civic, like the way that they just crumbled. I mean, I have to imagine that this was a response to that, and just the like, fuck you guys. I don't need any of you. And I'm just going to make it, you know, I'm just going to do it.
I mean, lyrically, I'm not deeply listening, but I'm catching things here and there that don't necessarily have anything directly to do with that, but maybe some things do. I know that Dr. Demento, Barry, was on hand as an extra presence during the sessions, although Dr. Sardonicus is credited as producer. Is that supposed to be Barry?
I think it's got to be Randy. I think that's just a pure, you know, that's just Randy being Randy.
Also, Randy had been germinating, hatching, and sifting over this record since the April 73 sojourn in Hawaii, but this had been on his mind to do this for 4 years. All right, that concludes your free sneak peek into today's bonus episode. If you want to hear the rest of it, just visit patreon.com/discograffiti and either purchase this podcast by itself for $4, or better yet, subscribe at the major tier and get access to Discograffiti's 3 weekly episodes. That's Friday's main episode, the Sunday Discograffiti Soldiers of Sound podcast. That's our podcast within a podcast featuring Patreon members as guests, and your Tuesday bonus episode. Please keep in mind this is entirely how I support my wife and 7-year-old son, so don't risk feeling badly about yourself by not supporting Discograffiti. Become a member so you don't miss a single thing at patreon.com/discograffiti.